The future of Frome is hanging in the balance. It's a vibrant, thriving and prosperous town. But what happens here at Saxonvale? A derelict 12-acre site in the heart of the town will set its course for generations to come.
Frome finds itself at a crossroads. After losing employment site after employment site, Saxonvale is the last chance to expand the town centre and generate the jobs that we need.
We're looking for places where current businesses who are in the town now can expand and without the need to travel outside to take their businesses away from us.
There are two plans on the table. One, by developers Acorn, for a high-density housing estate. The other, Mayday Saxonvale, designed by the people of Frome, extends the town centre with a mix of housing, community space and a substantial amount of commercial space for local companies to grow and create jobs.
With the Acorn scheme, all we're going to get is another housing estate and cement our position as a commuter dormitory town. But with the Mayday scheme, we have this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to unleash Frome's entrepreneurial spirit and create the next chapter in Frome's history.
Frome's always done really well in terms of incubating small start-up businesses until they get to a specific size. Once they get to the next stage, generally what happens is they have to move out and move to West Wiltshire. They take their jobs with them, and obviously that has a massive knock-on effect to the economy locally.
The contrast, if you look directly at the two plans, you've got the Acorn plan, which is primarily about housing. So that looks to me like a ghetto of housing. You'd have people living there, maybe going out of town, where are they going to work in the town centre? So they get in their cars and drive to Bath, to Trowbridge, etc. The contrast between that and the Mayday plan, where there's a significant amount of workspace, would mean that people could come into town, live, work, socialise, spend money locally and build and enhance the local community, the business community and the social community. Really important, and of course it'd reduce the carbon footprint in terms of the travelling in and out of town.
Frome has become a victim of its own success. It's attracting more and more residents, and more companies want to either move here or expand here. But businesses, and the jobs that go with them, are being forced out. This map shows just how many commercial sites have been converted to residential in recent years. Employment space lost to housing, each time with the promise that Saxonvale would make up for the loss. 1,189 more houses, more residents, no more jobs. Local companies looking to expand are struggling. The Vallis Group is a global supply chain management company. It started here in Frome and is one of many Frome companies that are desperate for room to expand.
The options that we're facing is we are about to raise money for a global expansion, and we're going to need at least a further 10 people. So the two options are either to move to bespoke offices in the middle of Frome, which would be perfect, or we will have to relocate to Bath. It really is as simple as that.
Now Vallis used to be right in the town centre, but they got kicked out when the landlords decided to turn the building into residential apartments. Now they're here, on the edge of town, in the Marston trading estate.
Obviously my strong preference would be to be in Frome. It's where I come from and where we've built the business. To bring 40 people in, particularly young ones as well, or younger, graduates, somewhere like Frome in the centre would be absolutely perfect to be able to go out to lunches, interact, social interaction and all those sort of things beyond straightforward office life would be massively appealing. Otherwise, I'm afraid we'd have to go into Bath to get that size and scale to be able to expand.
Saxonvale has always been at Frome's heart. It was Frome, stretching as far back as the 17th century with its silk mills. And ever since then it's been the main employment site for hundreds of people, for hundreds of years. It was the living, beating heart of Frome. And more recently, over 400 people worked here.
The Saxonvale site in its heyday was filled with factories and opportunities for jobs, and we had the likes of Knott's Industries and Basics and all those sorts of people in there, really big employers, as well as other major employers in the town. But because they were in the centre, that's what created this amazing sense of community. It drove a lot of social interaction in the town. It created a wonderful sense of living in a small town where everybody knew everybody else. So yeah, that was great, absolutely great. And I miss it dreadfully.
Every morning, hundreds of workers used to come into this site.
This is Damon Moore. He owns the silk mill, and he set up the Mayday scheme.
And so the movement of human traffic to and fro into this site is very historic, and there's a real working history and a cultural history attached to this site.
It feels as though we've got a big void there now, which is what we're hoping that Mayday can fill and recreate.
The last business closed in 2016. Acorn thinks it'll make a great housing estate. Mayday Saxonvale wants to bring back that employment legacy, maximising commercial space. More than 30% of homes will be affordable housing, along with community-owned assets and amenities. A truly mixed-use town centre extension. Whilst the Acorn plan provides a minimal amount of commercial space, the Mayday scheme delivers nearly 3 times the amount. And the demand is real.
I just wanted to update you all on the expressions of interest for Saxonvale. On the chart here on the red, you can see the Acorn plan. They've agreed up to around 4,000 square metres for employment space, whereas in the Mayday Saxonvale plan, we have agreed to have over 11,000 square metres of employment space in Saxonvale. We had expressions of interest only open for a few weeks, and as you can see here on the green, we're well oversubscribed already without even really pushing it or advertising it. So you can see that the need for this employment space in Saxonvale, in the heart of Frome, is just so important.
Well, this fits in perfectly with Mendip's own stated plans for Frome. This is the Mendip local plan. It's a statutory roadmap for future development. It's meant to guide all the decisions, and it's legally enforceable. For Frome, it had this to say.
The biggest challenge the town faces in the next 20 years is to reduce the outflow of workers from the town by providing more jobs locally. This would be achieved through limiting the amount of housing and maximising projected economic development.
So the council vision is very much about driving employment, creating jobs. That's really what we want to do. And I think that's what Mayday can provide for us, and it stops all that travelling to other towns that people would need to do if they don't have the opportunity here. This is crucial, and it's going to help us with the economy and to make us a tighter community.
So what of the younger generation? What does Mayday have to offer them?
I think the really important thing about Mayday Saxonvale is that it offers young people the chance to start their career here and build a life here. There aren't any of the right starter homes that a young person would need to want to get on the property ladder. There aren't the right jobs for them to progress or to explore. It's the opportunity to be able to walk to work rather than commuting out. And if they want to start their own business, there's not the space for that. There isn't anything appropriately sized.
It's no surprise the Acorn scheme doesn't meet the needs of Frome. It was designed outside of the town, without the community's input, and then imposed on the town despite it being overwhelmingly rejected. Whereas the Mayday scheme was conceived by the town, for the town. It's a bottom-up approach. And Frome has form here. Remember, people here found a way to take it from near dereliction to the cultural and commercial success it's now become. And this could be repeated. That's according to Mayday Saxonvale's development partners, Stories. They're a socially responsible development company, also with form. This is Richard Meyer, a former partner of Argent, the company who built the King's Cross Regeneration project in London. They'll be driving the finance and management of the scheme.
The difference here is that one is that this is
led by the community and is more relevant to the community and better meets the needs of the community for the present and for the future. Secondly, is that and linked to that, is that the mix of these different uses is right. Everyone can say, I've got a little ground floor shop, I've got a bit of this, I've got a bit of that. But here it's about getting the right critical mass and quantum of workspace and residential and so on. And that's what's so important to meet the town's needs.
What we want to see is a fair and transparent process going into the new year with the new Somerset Unitary Authority, looking at any rival scheme and making a decision that's based on what is good locally, what will provide real social value, not just about money, but about social value to the town centre. And for me, head and shoulders above all of that is the Mayday scheme.
Frome is a growing town, and we need a commercial centre that's strong enough to take us into the future.
Saxonvale is massively important to the future of Frome as a town and to the local economy. We've already lost a multitude of employment space over the last 20 years. A number of the brownfield sites have been redeveloped. Effectively, you can build houses within certain parameters anywhere. What you can't do is replace lost employment space in a town centre, which would just add to not only the local economy, but the local community as well.
Quite naturally, for a private development company, Acorn are going to view a development in Saxonvale through the lens of maximising shareholder and investor returns. But our objective and our singular focus, and that of the new Somerset Council, is to get the most public value out of a development here. And this starts with generating the maximum economic impact, more jobs, new businesses, expanding businesses. But it's also great for the new Somerset Council. It means higher business rate revenue over the longer term. It also means more resilient communities, families and individuals in Frome, communities and individuals that don't require the council services as much, lowering their costs. A development in Saxonvale really can be the best for Frome and the best for Somerset.
It's now make or break time for Frome.